It's Lefty.
King of the world, baby! King of the world!
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, episode number 8. Ocho de Mayo is here. Greetings and salutations and well wishes for all my Ocho de Mayo celebrators out there. Okay, this is the last one, I promise. Seis de Mayo and Siete de Mayo were funny. Ocho de Mayo, I have officially killed the joke. I'm putting one bullet in the chamber, and I'm firing it directly into that joke's head. This is the last one, Ocho de Mayo. The last of the De Mayo jokes. We'll see you again in a year. You've got an incubation period of about 365 days. We will see you again. Well, probably 362 days. We'll see you again in a year. Well, no, because everybody says, may the 4th be with you. So, because that's a stupid thing on the internet now. Yeah, 4th sounds like force. Get it? Yeah, I get it. It's very clever. It's very clever, people on the internet. Clever the first time somebody said it. Clever the first time that it was posted on Twitter. But you using that joke again and again and again and again and again is not funny anymore. It's not. So 361 days of incubation period for the De Mayo jokes. We'll see you again. Maybe the Lefty Show will last that long. If you want to help out the Lefty Show and help it last that long, head on over to imraising.com. Yeah, imraising.com. Great place if you want to start taking donations for something. You got a website, a project. You need help crowdfunding it. Imraising.com is the place to go. This episode is brought to you by them. Not really. This is not an official thing. They've just been good to me. I want to give them help. And if you want to help out the Lefty Show, you want to make sure I get to make De Mayo jokes again to you in 361 days, glorious days, then you can go to imraising.com/643 productions and go ahead and donate, help out the show. Thank you to everybody that has since donated. Let's go see it through and see if there's been any actual notifications. I believe they're not showing up here. You got to find another way to see them. Anyway, there's that's where you can go. imraising.com/643 productions. The P in productions is lowercase. Holy shit. Yesterday, I thought it was 1997 again. In the days of the internet where an address that you typed into the address bar was case sensitive. I thought I was back in 1997 because when I type out the description, I type out the link manually. Or I type it out manually once and then I just copy paste for a podcast that's showing up, regularly, especially with the Lefty Show because it's almost daily. Then copy pasting is a thing. So I typed it out once manually, and of course, in my mind, the P in productions is capitalized because it's part of a proper noun. I believe that's the right grammatical term. It's part of a proper noun, and so that's how I always have written it out. And that's how I see it in my mind. And so when I'm writing out the link, 643 capital P on productions. Well, apparently I'm Raising didn't like that. And a lot of you were getting 404 errors and I couldn't figure it out because when you type it into a browser manually, when you go to your Chrome browser, or your Firefox browser, or your eGads, if you're still using Internet Explorer, do not go there. Go directly to Google Chrome, download Google Chrome, stop using Internet Explorer immediately. When you go into your browser and type it out, imraising.com/643 productions because you want to donate to help out the show, help keep it free, help get it hosted on iTunes. When you type it out, it works. It works fine. You can capitalize the P. You don't have to capitalize the P. Doesn't matter. It works. But for some reason, when it's hyperlinked, I believe that's, again, the correct internet term. Buzzwords, kids. Learn how to use them. Definitely increase the appearance, the aura of your intelligence by maybe an order of magnitude. If you can speak the buzzwords, you got it. Roll-off is a big one for microphones I use. It's got a good roll-off. What the fuck does that mean? I don't fucking know. Excuse me. But it would work perfectly. imraising.com/643productions. But when it's hyperlinked, it wouldn't work. You get a 404 error because in the link itself, the P on Productions was capitalized, and that page apparently doesn't exist. I don't know why, again, because usually capitalization doesn't matter. I could type out a link in the description to reddit.com, and if I put a capital R on Reddit, the link will still work. But apparently I'm raising, for some reason, that doesn't work. My apologies. I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. I was like, I don't fucking know. And then I saw a comment, somebody, I forget who it was, I'm sorry. Somebody said it's a capitalization issue, so I tried it, and it works. So the imraising.com link should now work. If you want to donate, you want to help out the show, that's where you can do it. imraising.com/643productions there for you. I'm feeling a little bit better today. Today is Thursday. It is Ocho de Mayo, May 8th. Sorry, I had to get one last one in there. May 8th. And, well, Mother's Day is coming up. But, I'm feeling a little bit better yesterday. Had Katie on the show. She was a fantastic guest. Had some good banter. You guys got to see her her dominance over me. Okay, if I buy Katie a car, if I buy Katie a brand new car, brand new Hyundai Sonata, right? It should not matter. Somebody back me up. Give me some backup on this. That if it's a Hyundai Sonata, brand new, free, all she's got to, I pay tax and title, and I just give it to her. It shouldn't matter that I go out a couple months later if I get myself an Audi or a BMW. Now, of course, this is assuming that I have the money, which I don't. But it shouldn't matter because the very fact that she would think less of her gift because of what I bought for myself has to mean that she doesn't view her gift with the luster that she once did. That's got to mean that, right? Gotta. Somebody back me up in the comments. But anyway, I was feeling, I've been kind of down the last few days. I thought it was allergies. It might just be a cold that Katie and I have been ping-ponging back and forth to each other. And I was trying to think of something sexual with that. And it just whatever would need to happen in this sexual metaphor to make it a sexual metaphor, I don't even want to contemplate. So this bug, it might be just a bug that Katie and I have been ping-ponging back. Because I had a fever about 2 weeks ago, cold with a fever, the whole nine, and it went away a couple days. And then Katie was a little bit sick, but not to the level of me, and now I'm sick to the point where I could confuse it readily with a pollen allergy. But it might not be. No fevers, no aches or anything like that, but just stuffiness. And stuffiness may not suck for other things. It may not suck when you do other things. Like when you go to school, it might actually suck in school because if you're stuffed up or you got a runny nose or you're stuffed up and you take something like Mucinex or you take an anti-decongestant or anti-decongestant. See? Tell you, buzzwords is where it's at. If you take a decongestant and your nose starts running, when you're in a format like school, blowing your nose can be disruptive and everybody looks at you, whether it be college, high school, junior high, middle school, elementary school, whatever. Everybody looks at you, and you don't want everybody looking at you because you're sick. You're having a bad hair day. If you're sick, you get a pass for dressing like a schmuck and not taking a shower and not doing your hair. You get a pass, but you get a pass. Everybody else that looks at you doesn't know that you get that pass. They don't know. When they just look at you, they think, oh, man, that guy's dressed like a fucking hobo. What's wrong with him? Or her? Do your hair. Something like that. But when you say, no, I'm sick, everybody immediately goes, oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's okay now. Your hobo-ness. Oh, God. Oh, that probably sounded nasty on the microphone. Trust me, it's just mucus. I don't smoke cigarettes. And I don't inhale cigars. Although some people think you do. That's another point entirely. But I'm sorry, I said ho-bonus. I don't know. So my mind just immediately went to ho-boner. Okay? It did. It fucking did.
Bonerama!
My mind went to ho-boner. When I said ho-bonus, The natural progression from ho bonus is to ho boner. Okay, it is, and don't tell me you didn't go there. Don't you dare for a second tell me that you likewise did not go immediately from ho bonus to ho boner. Okay, don't even try to tell me that. But you get forgiven for it. But that initial phase of, oh man, why do you look all disheveled? Why do you look all messed up? Is awkward. But in an office setting, in a work setting, when you communicate with me, yeah, I'm sick, it's all right. And normally, blowing your nose in an office, whatever you're doing, won't affect your work very much. And the very fact of being stuffed up won't really affect your work. You'll sound a little bit funny. You'll have to take a break to cough or to sneeze or to blow your nose. But the very essence of what you do isn't interrupted or is not altered very much. However, for me, when I do podcasts or when I make videos and I'm recording and I have a stuffed up nose, I just sound different. And I sound, my voice or my mouth is a lot more mucusy, and there's a good chance that there's other things happening in the mouth that you hear that will interrupt the sound that I try to create and that people know me for. And if I'm really sick, then I can't work at all. Now I have to take breaks to step away from the microphone to cough. You know, the chocolate rain guy, I move away from the mic to breathe in. Chocolate rain. That guy, I move away from the mic to breathe in. I move away from the mic to cough or to blow my nose. But if it was worse, I wouldn't even be able to record. There wouldn't be enough time to record the show, to record That's Not Why You Called, or to record PKA. There wouldn't be enough. I would just be sick constantly. I'd be sneezing, coughing, shivering, fever. It would be awful. And my job is affected by the very nature of what I do is affected by being sick. And it sucks because I really like doing the show, but I don't want to change how I sound. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. But there's no such thing as really feeling better when you're not really sick, because I could say I'm feeling better, but my nose is still stuffed up and runny, and my ear is still kind of plugged. I can feel it. And I'm worried, that really doesn't translate into anything else. You get better from a fever. You get better from an injury. Pain goes away. Pain goes down and down and down and down until it eventually goes away. Being stuffed up, you're just stuffed up or you're not. And I am still currently stuffed up. Not anything else. No aches, no fevers, no nothing. But I'm still stuffed up, and it still fucks me up. But again, like I said yesterday, the show must go on. The show's got to go on, baby. Can't stop it. Can't stop, won't stop. I don't know the rest of the lyrics of that song. I think they're lyrics to a song. Not exactly sure. So we got the Lefty Show. Thank you to everybody, and I got to get through the rest of my intro. Thank you to everybody that has been viewing the show and continue to listen. I greatly appreciate it, and I thank you all for sharing the show with people who you think may enjoy podcasting. And it will get much easier. Trust me, when the Lefty Show is ready to go on iTunes, sharing it will be much easier. You say, hey, you just go to the iTunes store, search the Lefty Show. That's where you can find us. People can download it, listen at their leisure, hopefully enjoy. We got some things to talk about today. There's been an ongoing thing. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about they like to voice their opinions on how we get it. They speak for everybody, et cetera, et cetera. ISPs versus the FCC versus content providers on the internet versus consumers has been an ongoing debacle. It's an ongoing fight. It's been going on and on and on and on and on. Shots across the bow from Netflix, from Firefox, the CEO, or I believe it was the owner of Firefox, specifically made an appeal to the FCC to not let Comcast do bad things, to keep net neutrality going. Now there's a group of people apparently camped outside of the FCC offices of the headquarters in Washington, D.C., in an Occupy-style movement, saying, we're here for net neutrality. And there's something else. Everybody's going back and forth. Everybody's picking sides. Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Dropbox, Yahoo, Firefox, Google, all these people that make their bones on the internet are saying no to the death of, quote, net neutrality, and are saying yes to reclassifying ISPs as common carriers. Comcast is saying, no, you're holding us back. This will actually be better for our customers because of blah, blah, blah. And consumers are just like, we want what we fucking pay for. We pay for access to the internet. We pay for these speeds and access to the internet. Give that to us, ISPs. And Comcast and Verizon and AT&T and all these other providers are trying to maximize profits and minimize service. That's just, that's what capitalism is. Or, well, greedy bastard capitalism. Same thing, though. And that's what they're trying to do. And so now people are, lobbying the FCC, anti-lobbying, the lobbying, et cetera, et cetera. But here's a little something. This is from the DSL report. This is from DSLreports.com. Or DSL reports, not DSLR reports, DSLreports.com. The title is from Carl Bode, says, Google loves net neutrality except when they're busy killing it. Here's the thing. In this article, Carl goes on to explain in detail how Google, the very same Google, back in, I believe it was 2010, were the same people lobbying the FCC to make loose regulations. Now, keep in mind, this in 2010 was the compromise. This was the big compromise between reclassifying ISPs as common carriers and simply regulating the ISPs as common carriers. That was the middle ground they chose. We're not going to reclassify you as common carriers, but we are not going to let you just go on and do whatever you want. We are going to regulate you under these as though you were a common carrier without classifying you as one under the Communications Act. And that is what was overturned by an appeals judge who said, well, yeah, the FCC, you don't have this power. But it was Google in 2010 who was lobbying for those loose restrictions. It was Google, in part, not solely Google. It was Google alongside the likes of Comcast and Time Warner Cable and Verizon and AT&T. Google who was saying, yes, give us these loopholes, don't regulate wireless, let us do all these things, or let ISPs do all these things, because at the time we believe this is good for us. Now, what is this? This is just Google as a company, a corporation, viewed in the legal framework as a person. Google acting in their own self-interest. In 2010, it was beneficial for Google to lobby for loose restrictions on internet carriers. It was beneficial for Google to lobby for these loopholes that allowed for, among other things, peering and allowing for connections at peering points to go to shit as a way to create fast lanes without actually creating fast lanes, to limit content, to limit the speed of content from providers you don't like without actually actively doing it. It was a way to passively kill net neutrality. And Google at the time said it was beneficial. And now in 2014, it is Google saying, "Oh, well, this is bad. We have to protect net neutrality. We've got to do all these things. We have to regulate ISPs because they've gone way too far, et cetera, et cetera." Now in 2014, Google believes it is in their best interests to do all these things, which is okay. People's viewpoints change. People's best interests, given certain scenarios, change. Just because Google or a person, forget that Google is a corporation for a moment. Imagine a person named Google. Now, that person named Google in 2010 was in favor of loose restrictions on ISPs, not reclassifying them as common carriers, and allowing for loopholes that allowed all these things, or that would allow for all these things. Now, 4 years later, 4 whole years, 365 multiplied by 4, or thereabouts, because I don't know, the specific dates of when the lobbying was done. Now, 4 years later, given the circumstances now, which are different from what they were in 2010, given 2010 technology, et cetera, now in 2014, that person named Google is now saying, you know what? Yeah, regulate ISPs. Yeah, because they've gone way too far. They've gone overboard. They've gone overboard, and it's bad. It's bad. It would be better for me, because I'm a person named Google. Remember, I'm not Google the corporation. It would be better for Google the person, because then they would get reliable internet. Then they would be able, our internet service eventually would become on par with the rest of the quote modern world. So it's good for Google the person now in 2014 to lobby for heavier restrictions and classifications on ISPs, but it wasn't good for Google the person in 2010. Or wasn't as good. But now take all that in your mind, okay? So it's not bad necessarily that Google kind of flip-flopped, because it's 4 years, and they are acting in their best interest, their own best interests, which are the best interests of their stockholders. Keep that in mind. Google isn't your friend, and that's the point here. The point is, Google is no longer the cool alternative. Everybody's loving everybody. We just want to give information to everybody because we believe that's best for society, man. That's no longer Google. Now, that's not to say that that ever really was Google, but you would be remiss to not understand, or to not at least admit, that there is an air about Google that is everyman, that is the common good. We are Google. We are going to help everybody. We are going to try to bring internet to the third world, because fuck bringing them food. Fuck bringing them water. You know what they need? 3G. The internet world, or the third world, needs 3G, because we're fucking Google. And we need, I don't even know what the shipping containers, I don't even know what the hell those things are. I don't think even Google does. They just start projects out their ass. We're going to solve death. Okay, go for it, Google. I'm going to continue to use your search engine to look up shit, to look up words on the internet to make myself sound smart. That's what I'm going to do. You go do all your crazy stuff that's never really going to materialize. But the point is that Google isn't this whole everyman, help the people. Yeah, we're making money doing what we do, but we just want to bring everybody information, because this is the information age, and it's good for everybody to have information, and stop treading on people's privacy, except when we use the personal information to sell advertisements to everybody, and take personal information without your knowledge, and then give it to the NSA, and then all of a sudden, only when we're caught with our pants down in the public because of Edward Snowden, do we all of a sudden say, oh my God, the NSA is bad. Google is not your friend. Google isn't this cool. Google isn't the cool uncle that buys you beer. Because everybody had that cool uncle that'll buy you beer at 17 or 18. Or fuck, even younger. That cool uncle that'll give you your first beer. You love hanging out with him because he swears around you, unlike your parents. He doesn't care. He'll say fuck. He'll say shit. He'll say, hey, man, look at them tits on that broad. Look at that. That's cool, huh? He'll take you out to go go-karting or doing stuff. Everybody had that cool uncle that you loved hanging out with because he was just like you, because he took an interest in you and wasn't even bothered with all the other bullshit of being your parent. He could just be your friend. That was the cool uncle. Google isn't your friend. Google isn't the cool uncle. Google isn't going to bring you your first beer. They are a corporation with stockholders, and they're going to get your information, your personal information, use it to tailor advertisements to you, which is, not bad in a vacuum, that idea. However, doing it surreptitiously and without people's knowledge goes a little bit too far. And they are going to be buddy-buddy with the NSA so that the NSA doesn't give them shit. But then only when the NSA is caught red-handed by somebody else do they say, oh my God, it was so bad what the NSA did. It's so wrong. Well, Google, cool uncle, if you're the cool uncle, Google, where were you when the NSA started this shit? Why didn't you say no? You've got enough money to fight the fucking government in court. You're Google. Fight them in court and say, no, we're going to air this out in public because it's good for everybody to see what you, the NSA, and the government are trying to do. That's what we're going to do. But did Google do that? No. They were friends with the NSA. They did give them the back doors. They did acquiesce to the FISA court orders. They did do all that, and only when Edward Snowden dropped the pants on everybody did they start coming out and say, oh, man, maybe it's bad. Maybe, oh, yeah, we're friends with everybody on Reddit. Yeah, fuck the government. Yeah, bad. It's bad that they're stealing your data, but still keep giving us data so that we can sell it to advertisers. Google is not your friend. Google is not championing net neutrality because they care about net neutrality. Google isn't championing net neutrality because they give a fuck about you. Google cares about Google stockholders. That's it. And it might be best that way because they owe a fiduciary duty to their stockholders. Their stockholders create operating capital. That's the whole idea. So Google stockholders are Google's number one priority. Not you, not your Netflix, not your porn, not anything like that. They care about Google. And so they may try to wrap themselves in this air of, oh, we're friends with you. We're gonna go against the NSA. We're gonna try to stop this anti-net neutrality movement. We're gonna try to bring you Google Fiber. Oh, that's what we want. That's what we want to do because we're your friends. No, they are not your friends. They will champion whatever cause they have to in order to satisfy their stockholders and make themselves and their stockholders richer. Google is not your friend, just like Facebook is not your friend. People turn on Facebook like that. Like that. People turn on Facebook. Remember, now this is, I'm back in the day, and I feel bad kind of doing that kind of shit. But I was around when I was in college when Facebook was limited to university students or to college students in the United States. And it was only available to people with a .edu email address. It was only available, and even then, it was only available on certain campuses around the United States. And then it started growing and growing and growing, and Facebook was the cool one because Facebook was going up against MySpace. Fuck MySpace. Fuck it. Fuck MySpace. But Facebook was the new and the cool, and Facebook, it was the alternative. It was your friend. It was the cool uncle. That, oh man, you don't have to deal with the pop-up ads and the banner ads bullshit on MySpace. There's no ads on Facebook. There's no ads. It's a cool, clean look. It's new. Oh my goodness. And Facebook is the cool company because they could put advertisements on this, but they're not. Oh man, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. And Facebook reveled in that. Facebook said, yeah, we could put ads on this, but we're not. We're not going to. We haven't. We could monetize the shit out of Facebook right now, but we're not going to because we're about you. Facebook, the people, blah, 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 blah. And then a whole bunch of weird shit started happening. Then gifts started popping up. That's about when I started clocking out, when people started giving each other gifts, whatever the fuck that was. Then that started happening. Then there were some promoted stuff that started popping up. Then the wall or the feed was initiated. And then all of a sudden there were some promoted things that started popping up. Then there were games, pay-to-play games or pay-to-win games. And then all of a sudden everybody started turning on Facebook. They said, hey, you're not our friend anymore. You're using our data to sell advertisements, and then you're overlaying advertisements and promoting this and promoting that. Fuck you. Fuck Facebook, etc. Facebook did the exact same thing, essentially, that Google has done, but somehow Google is beyond reproach. But no, Google is not your friend. Google is not your buddy. Google is Google's shareholders' buddies. Or buddies with Google shareholders. That's it. So don't believe for a second that Google actually gives two shits and a dog fuck about net neutrality. What they care about is making money. And making, more specifically, making money off of you. They care about you insofar as they can keep going to the bank of you. That's who Google cares about. Not the third world people who can't eat, who apparently need Wi-Fi internet. Not that. Not the shit kickers in Kansas or wherever else where Google Fiber is popping up. They're not bringing them fiber-like speeds because they care about them. Because the people may need to transfer a lot of data at really high speeds, and we can do it. No, Google cares about Google. And I used to be on the mind. I used to think, oh man, Google's pretty cool. Google's like that cool uncle. They're not. Google cares about Google. Speaking of people who only care about themselves, the NFL draft starts tonight. It starts tonight and ends on Thursday. It starts tonight, Thursday, and ends on Saturday. It's a 3-day event now, apparently, the NFL draft. And you're going to see a lot of millionaires made tonight. Especially, the breakdown is, as I recall, the first round is tonight. The first round of the NFL draft, the first 31? The first 30 picks, I believe. First round, that's it, and then they break. That's where you'll see Commissioner Roger Goodell. You'll see him introducing everybody. You'll see the interviews. You'll see everybody in the green room, all the people, all the first-round picks, and everybody in a nice suit. That's what you'll see tonight. Then, Friday night is the second and third round. And then Saturday, during the day, is the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. And 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round, as I understand it. I may be off on the roundage, but they spread it out. It used to be one night, but they spread it out over 3 days because they can monetize it and sell ads, and everybody will watch it. But the NFL draft is going to start actually kind of soon. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, and ESPN is covering it all day. All day. ESPN is going to cover the draft. But I find it funny because there has to be some kind of logistics behind the NFL draft. Behind the production of the NFL draft, they have to have kind of an idea, especially now where they're spreading it over multiple nights. They have to have kind of an idea of who's going to go where. What collegiate athlete, what indentured servant is finally going to be freed from the bonds of the NCAA and made a millionaire or close to it, especially in the first round, guaranteed multimillionaire. Tonight, the first guy, as soon as you see him walk to that podium, guaranteed multimillionaire. Multimillionaire just by signing his name to a deal. Guaranteed. $34, $35, $36 million for just signing his name. Doesn't have to play a day in his life. And that's his money. But it's funny because I always used to remark with my buddies when we would watch back in the day, because what you'll see is a lot of shots on the green room. A lot of shots on the green room of people, of prospective draft picks. They just they're all sitting in nice tailored suits, which up until tonight, these kids, and they're all kids. Fuck, man. The worst part is the first draft where I was older than the kids being picked. I felt it sucked because I was like, damn it. But up until tonight, theoretically, these kids were all amateurs. If you hold on for a second, bear with me. The nose is getting a bit too much. We'll return shortly. I might actually just play an alternate intro here while I'm doing my thing. We'll be right back. I'll continue on talking about the NFL draft here in a moment on the Lefty Show.
He's getting older.
Ball, hit the follow button.
But not wiser. This is the Lefty Show.
Woo! Goddamn. That was a bit rough. Sorry. My apologies for that. Had to happen. Up, not down. Round 2. Hold on. God, I hate this. I hate this so much. Anyway, return back to the Lefty Show. We were talking about the NFL draft and the production of the NFL draft. You'll see shots in the green room, but we were talking about kids in suits, and up until a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, all of these kids were considered amateurs. They have not played for the NFL yet. They have not signed any contracts with the NFL yet. But somehow, all of the kids you're going to see in the first round, I think they drag people out for the second round as well. After that, I don't think they show anybody. I think it's just names. Somehow, everybody in the first round has a nice tailored suit. Perfectly tailored suit, expensive, silk tie, cufflinks, brand new polished shoes that gotta cost a couple of $100, if more. Brand new watches, nice gaudy watches. Somehow, but haven't played a day in their life. Have not put pen to paper for an inked contract, but somehow have all these nice things. Now I get it, they're all donated, and the watches are probably rented from local jewelers by their agents, but still, despite not this above all else should put the amateurism bullshit of the NCAA into perspective. Nothing changed about these kids from going to playing in the NCAA, or from playing in the NCAA to draft night. Nothing changed about them. They didn't start playing in the NFL. They didn't sign a contract for big money with the NFL or any other sports organization. But somehow, within a few months, they've got brand new tailored suits, gaudy watches, brand new shoes, are living it up in New York, Rockefeller Center. That's where they are. That's where the draft is held. That's where they are, living it up, living the life in New York for this entire week. But nothing changed. Not ink to paper, not $1 not $1 officially transferred from the NFL to these kids' bank accounts. But somehow, they're living like millionaires already. Are they really amateurs? Can we drop this whole facade now? Can we stop? They're not amateurs. They're professionals. Fuck, if you want to call them semi-professionals at the collegiate level, fine. Because they have agreed to go to school. But they're still generating billions in revenue. Football, basketball, to a lesser extent in some areas, baseball, and maybe one or two other sports. Lacrosse, maybe. Can we just stop? They're not amateurs anymore. If they were amateurs, they would show up looking like bums who were sick. They would show up looking disheveled and sick on stage. And they would go nuts when they signed that deal and get handed that hat and that jersey by Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. They would go crazy because now they no longer are forced to be amateurs. Now they can go out and buy the nice suit and the gaudy watches and the nice shoes and the brand new cars for moms. But no, nothing changed, but somehow they're all looking like and living like millionaires already, despite not having dollar one, despite not having played down one in the NFL. But you're going to see tonight all these kids in the green room. And it's funny because there has to be somewhere in the NFL a guy or a person or a group of people whose job it is to cast the draft. Now hear me out. Hear out this theory. You have to cast the draft. You have to decide who to invite and who not to. Because some guys just won't. Some guys just go party. Some top draft picks just don't want to go. They're with family. They want to spend it with their family, whatever. Outside that, you have to decide who to invite and who not to. You can't invite everybody, every draft-eligible player who has declared. You can't, because what's the point in drafting some or inviting some guy for the first night, paying for him to fly out, and perhaps paying for his suit and tie and all those things and his meals and his hotel room? Why pay for the guy who's going to be drafted in the 6th round to come out for the first night? That's stupid. He's not going to get picked. So there has to be a group of people who actually plan out drafts. Everybody, they rip on fantasy football players who do mock drafts, and they just play little mind games or little thought experiments on who's going to go where in the draft. And egghead nerds, et cetera, et cetera. But there has to be a professional version even of that at the NFL, because they have to decide who to bring and who not to. They have to decide, to use a football term, who to dress and who not, and who to not dress, who to suit up for the draft, literally suit up, and who not to suit up for the draft. And sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes Mark Sanchez comes to mind. Brady Quinn. Oh, Brady Quinn. Poor guy. Quarterback out of Notre Dame. Apparently dashing good looks. I thought he looked like his face got hit in the head with a shovel when he was like a baby. Somebody hit him in the head with like a, one of those garden shovels. Just bat. But apparently dashing good looks out of Notre Dame quarterback. First round aspirations, was supposed to be a first round pick, and so he was there suited up. He was, looking good, dressed to the nines. I'm Brady motherfucking Quinn, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm about to go into the NFL. And then the first 3 picks went by, and Brady Quinn was still sitting in the green room. Then the next 3, then the next, and the next, and the next. And after every single pick, every single team that could even use a quarterback, not that they needed one, every single team that could have used a quarterback who subsequently picked not Brady Quinn, you got a shot at Brady Quinn. There's Roger Goodell announcing a name that isn't Brady Quinn. Bam, Brady Quinn. Mark Sanchez had a little bit of that because he was, again, supposed to be a first-round talent. Almost fell out of the first round, if I remember correctly. Supposed to be one of the top picks, just and it's a shot, and it's an interesting shot because in the moment you feel bad. In the moment you feel bad for Brady Quinn. You feel bad for Mark Sanchez because, oh man, their goals, their aspirations are fleeting before their eyes. That's sad. And in the moment, in the way the shot is framed, the way the whole sequence plays out, you feel kind of bad. You go, oh, man, that's awful. That sucks. He's just sitting there. You start hoping that somebody picks them just so that they'll stop looking downtrodden. That's what you hope for. But it's so easy to forget that pretty much all these guys that you're going to see tonight, here's what to remember. When they're trying to frame they're trying to generate, ESPN covers it, when ESPN is trying to generate narrative about everybody you see, everybody that filmed a promo for ESPN before the draft, everybody that filmed a promo, keep in mind, they are probably going to be millionaires after the night is over. Regardless of where they're picked, they are probably, most likely, still going to be millionaires. Multimillionaires? Yes. In the tens of millions? No, not everybody, but pretty much every guy, every kid you see in a suit and tie tonight on ESPN with makeup on and a brand new flashy earrings and watches and shoes and silk shirt and silk tie, nicely tailored stuff, and ESPN is trying to generate the narrative of, oh, isn't it how awful he's slipping? He doesn't know. He's got to call his mom. He's got to call his, oh my God. Millionaires. All of them. Multi-millionaires. Don't let ESPN try to generate bullshit narratives and sell it to you. I remember last year too. There was the obligatory slobbing of servicemen's knob, which that happens anyway, I guess. But there was the NFL trotted out a bunch of active duty U.S. servicemen, and the idea was, okay, you idiots, stand up and applaud these guys, because apparently, and it's more the hero narrative that we talked about, or that I talked about a couple shows ago, that just for the sake, for their own sake, just by virtue of being in the armed services or having been deployed, these people are heroes, and you should stand up and applaud them. And it was possible, I believe it was 2 years ago, it's possible that there was a fight in the stands of the NFL draft, or in the seats of the NFL draft, because people pay money to go watch this shit live. There was that thing happened. You know, here they are, stand up and clap. And somebody wouldn't. Somebody finally had the balls to apparently say, no, I'm not standing for this. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do this. I am not going to further this bullshit. And a group of just mouth-breathing idiots, and they were panning, the shot was they were panning the crowd, and a crowd mic picked it up. And you heard audibly, quite clearly, stand up and salute your country. And then inaudible, which was clearly no. And then you heard, stand up, motherfucker, or something like that. And then you heard the crowd, then you heard an audible gasp from a group of people, which usually is only reserved for when one human punches another human, or when one human does something bad to another human. You know that audible gasp from a group of people? That happened. So as it plays out in my mind, here the NFL trots out these assholes in uniform and says, all right, stand up. Some person has the balls, a real hero has the balls to stand up to commonly accepted bullshit and says, no, not doing it. I'm not saluting the guy who flies a drone and kills innocent brown people. I'm not fucking saluting that. I don't care. I'm not saluting. I am not saluting. I will not stand and salute. I will not respect even the Army Ranger who tells his story of having to do cleanup after the infamous video of an Apache gunship, or an American gunship, I don't know if it was an Apache, an American gunship killing 2 Reuters reporters and a bus or a van load full of children. I won't even respect that motherfucker because he still stayed in the Army, he still saluted the flag, and he still obeyed his orders after all that shit. Fuck him. And somebody had the balls to say that. Figuratively, of course. They just sat. And then some America motherfucker takes it upon himself, I'm going to make you respect this country, man, and starts punching this guy in the face for not standing up for servicemen. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. That's incredible. That is, that if true, and I believe it's likely true. I believe, because there was an audible something to the effect of stand up for your country. So it was clear that it was related to the servicemen on stage. Holy shit. And in other holy shit news, from OregonLive.com, a 9-year-old. Okay, hold on. I am going to take this story at face value. What I am about to read to you, I am taking at face value. I've done no other research. I freely admit it. Done no other research on whether this story is accurate. No other research on whether all the facts are being reported. I assume that not all the facts are being reported, but I am assuming also that pretty much all the important facts are reported in this story, okay? So let's go on with that caveat in mind. From OregonLive.com, a 9-year-old led away in handcuffs, by Portland police, prompts outrage, push for policy changes. Maxine Bernstein. 2 uniformed Portland police officers showed up at the home of a 9-year-old girl last May, questioned her on the front porch about a fight with at a youth club 6 days earlier, then handcuffed her as she stood in a blue and white bathing suit. They drove her to police headquarters in downtown Portland, where she had her fingerprints and mugshot taken. LaToya Harris couldn't believe what was happening as she watched the officers head off with her daughter in the back seat. The girl was still wet after running through a neighborhood sprinkler, wearing flip-flops and a pink Velcro-wrapped towel over her swimsuit. They put handcuffs on, and I thought, wait a minute, this has got to be a joke, Harris recalled Monday. The look on my daughter's face went from humiliation and fear to a look of sheer panic. And it goes on. Her account is now prompting citizen members of a police oversight panel and youth justice advocates to press for new city guidelines that would prevent police from taking children into custody under the age of 10 without a juvenile court order. Now let's get on later in the article. Harris's 9-year-old daughter, witnesses told police, got in the middle of a dispute between 2 other girls who had been arguing because one told on the other in school earlier in the day for drawing on a desk. The 9-year-old ended up in a fist fight with one of the other girls outside the club, according to a police report. Okay? Now, issue identification for a moment. The 9-year-old ended up in a fist fight with one of the other girls outside the club, according to a police report. A staff member broke the fight up, but said Harris's daughter continued to try to strike and kick the other girl before they were separated in different rooms. Both girls apologized to each other. Staff members found no obvious injuries on any of the girls, they told police. The 9-year-old was sent home and suspended from the club for 1 week. And 6 days later, this girl was arrested. Now, abuse of police power, because, hold on a sec. A 9-year-old can commit assault and battery. And this 9-year-old did commit a battery. We're assuming all this to be true. From a strict legal sense, or in a strict legal sense, yes, this 9-year-old committed assault and battery. They did, assuming their punch is connected. I don't even know. Sometimes you get in a fight and you start throwing punches and nobody really connects anything. You touch, but it gets broken up before anything can get really serious. I'm assuming that at least one punch landed. That's a battery, I believe. I'm not sure. So, technically, in an absolute sterile vacuum of law, this 9-year-old committed a crime. And also, every 9-year-old, every child who has ever been in a school fight ever in the United States of America from the turn of the century, from the turn of the last century, not the most recent one, the one before that, because there's been 2, well, actually a few more than 2, about 21 of them, actually more than that, but because apparently something about Jesus and stuff, we only kind of count from 0 onward. Anyway, since the 1900s, every child who has ever been in a schoolyard fist fight with another child has committed a crime. Okay? All right. Now, let's talk about what actually happened. 2 children fought. 2 children had a disagreement, and 2 children fought. Okay? The fight was broken up. There were no serious injuries. Even if there was an injury, no serious injuries. Nobody had to go to the hospital. Nobody was in danger of losing their life. And punishment was doled out in the form of a suspension from the club, from the after-school club. There was punishment. There was separated. Everybody was okay. And an authority figure said, you shouldn't have done this. Here is a punishment of some kind. The police showed up, generated a police report. Okay, never mind for a second that this 9-year-old was arrested. No. That speaks for itself. You're arresting a fucking 9-year-old for fighting another 9-year-old, not murdering a baby, not smoking crack, not giving crack to a baby, thereby murdering the baby. No, a 9-year-old for fighting another 9-year-old or another child. That speaks for itself. The police got a call. An officer got the call. Blah, 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 220 going to respond to blah, 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 220, yeah. Right? And they show up. They don't know. The battery call, whatever it is. They show up to investigate. And then at some point, it was communicated to these police officers that the people involved in this battery charge or whatever, this assault charge, were 2 9-year-olds at an after-school function. It was essentially a schoolyard fight. The police officers heard that and continued the motherfucking investigation. They continued generating paperwork. They continued generating bullshit, wasting time investigating and trying to arrest a fucking 9-year-old. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Now, it's even worse than that. There are a certain series of crimes in America right now, that the mere allegation of a crime, the mere allegation from a citizen requires an arrest. Cops are under orders that if there's a domestic violence is a big one. If there is a domestic violence allegation, not a charge, not evidence, if there is simply an allegation of domestic violence, an arrest has to be made. Somebody has to get arrested. Somebody's getting arrested tonight. Doesn't matter. Now that's for fucking adults. That's for citizens. That's the idea of man beating up on his wife. It's been applied now to 9-year-olds fighting on a school. Can nobody fight anymore? I got an in-school suspension for punching a kid who punched me. Some kid tried to punch me in the face. It wasn't my fault he punched like a girl or a ninny. I don't know. Never mind. Not like a girl, because after, Woody has gotten me into UFC a little bit. And I, listening to the Joe Rogan Experience, and they talk about it, and Adam Carolla, who's big into boxing and into UFC a little bit, they talk about girls. There are plenty of girls in the UFC who would kick the ever-loving shit out of me any given day of the week and twice on Sunday, okay? So no longer does hit like a girl hold water. It wasn't my fault that the guy hit like a ninny. The guy tried to close fist punch me in the face. He did. It was on those, it was at lunch in junior high. I believe it was 8th grade for me. In America, there's a few different approaches to school. I know it's different in the British Isles, but there's elementary school, which is usually kindergarten through 6th grade. Usually kindergarten through 6th grade. Some only go K through 5. And then junior high is either 6 through 8 or 7 through 8. And then you go on to high school. There may be a few other differences there, a few other variations, but that's basically the idea. So if you're an 8th grader in high school or junior high, you're about 13 years old, getting ready to go to high school, dreading it because there's older kids and, oh my God, hazing. There's no hazing, kids. Don't freak out. No such thing. Especially now because 9-year-olds are getting fucking arrested for a fist fight on the schoolyard. If somebody tries to haze you, apparently, call the police, get them arrested. Apparently that's a thing now. We're not talking about beating the shit out of you. We're talking about throwing pennies or something like that. Oh, it's assault, battery, boo. So anyway, it was lunch period, 8th grade, and this guy, I think his name was Mark. I want to say he looked like a Mark. Kind of white trashy. He was one of those kids that always had an odd funk about him, and a noticeable funk emitted from Mark constantly. And we were sitting at lunch, and there was some dispute about something. He wanted to kick my ass for some reason, or he was trying to threaten me, and I just, fuck you, Mark, essentially. Because, again, this is 13-year-old Lefty, not the hard-ass thesaurus-toting Lefty of today that you hear before you. hear it directly in your ears. But essentially, fuck you, Mark. Go fuck yourself. He was the weird kid who had a funky smell, didn't do well in school, probably had some form of ADD, wasn't really diagnosed. I believe he was on Ritalin. So anyway, we were sitting at lunch, and this was back in the day. I don't know if they still exist, because in high school, I got to see some cool lunch table technology. But lunch tables usually, unless you're at a really hoity-toity school, the lunch tables are stored elsewhere, and you eat in the gymnasium, and they bring out the lunch tables and unfold them. They're essentially picnic tables. If you can imagine picnic tables, 2 picnic tables, and you hinge them at one end. On the long end, you hinge 2 picnic tables together, and then you put the whole thing on wheels, and you pick up at the hinge, and you lift vertically, right? And that's what would happen. That's how you store these lunch tables. Those were the kinds of lunch tables, a bitch to get out of, because it was one solid bench was all you had to sit on. So unless you were sitting on an end where you had a way to swing your legs out, you were pretty much locked in. You had to press yourself up and then lift one leg and contort it to get it out, and then the other one. In high school, there were lunch tables. The tables were like picnic tables hinged at the end, but there were individual stools that were mounted using steel to some frame or something, right? And so it was pretty cool because you weren't locked into where you were sitting. You could turn, and you didn't have to contort yourself to get out. So I don't know if that's become the gold standard, but this was back in the day, and it's important to the story, trust me. This was back in the day where you were locked in to your lunch table position. You were locked in, pretty much. And so Mark was sitting across from me, again, mid-disagreement. I'll punch you. Fuck you, Mark. And he stood up, again, didn't get himself out of the table or get himself out of his seat. He just kind of stood up, so his legs were still impinged between the seat and the edge of the table. The edge of the table was at his thighs, and the seat was at his calves. And he stood up and leaned over the table and took his, I want to say it was his right fist, and just kind of, I don't know if he was trying to punch me and then, like, mid-punching motion thought better of it, because he kind of wound up. He wound up. And then as his fist was approaching me, I figured, okay, this is going to be a thing. I'm going to figure out. I was like, there's no way this fucking yokel is trying to punch me. And then I said, all right, well, I'm going to find out if I can take a punch. I had never been punched before. Okay, let's see what this is all about. And in comes his right fist, and I don't know if he thought better of it mid-punch, because the end result was nothing. Even for a 13-year-old, it was nothing. It was just if you've ever slapped yourself awake, not like hard slap, like you want to hurt yourself because, daddy didn't hug you enough or something. But if you're just trying to, wake yourself up, and you're like, oh, motherfucker. Just that. Imagine doing that, but with a closed fist. It's nothing, right? That's the end result. But once he made contact, I figured it's fucking go time. Mark has escalated this situation. It could have ended at, go fuck yourself, Mark. You're not doing anything. Then he could have yokeled and funked his way elsewhere, Snack table. Oh, God, I love the snack table. So good. Zebra cakes all day. Zebra cakes for days, motherfuckers. So anyway, Mark had punched me. And I looked at him, and he was just like, yeah. And so when I stood up exactly as he did, and I didn't get my legs out of the table. When I stood up, and I just punched him in the sternum, I believe it's called. I get it. Katie gets mad at me. I get it wrong all the time. I'm going to research it right now. I just want to see where I punched him in the sternum. Got it right. Right at the base of the sternum, right? I believe that's where your diaphragm is. Right below the sternum, I guess. Which is called I don't even know. Katie will write this wrong, I'm assuming, if she's hearing it right now. So I punched him right about where your diaphragm is. If you want to knock the wind out of somebody, if you're not prepared, it's what killed Houdini. If you don't flex your abs to take a punch in the gut or right around the diaphragm and whatnot, you're liable to have the wind, quote, the wind knocked out of you. I don't know what's actually going on when you have the wind knocked out of you, but it feels like you can't breathe. Your lungs seize up. And that's what I did to him. And I stood up, And he was just, he didn't even, I think he may have put his fists up. I don't even care. And because I wasn't going to punch him in the face. I was like, I'm going to punch you because my dad had taught me, don't get into a fist fight and try to punch people's faces. You're going to break your hand. Punch them right at the bottom of the sternum, right here. That's where you punch them. And I just went, bam, one punch. Not even particularly hard. It's not like I wound up. I didn't even have a good base. I didn't spread my feet out. They were still impinged, just like his were. So I punched him, and apparently his lungs seized up, Mark's did, and he fell backwards, but his legs were still caught in the lunch table. So he fell backwards. His back hit the tile floor, but he was still kind of caught. His legs were still kind of caught. It was like he was draping his knees over over a pole to hang upside down. And he had to free himself from that before he could squirm and writhe on the ground in pain and try to catch his breath. Well, it wasn't long before apparently some kind of chaperone saw that. I was brought down to the office by I remember the walk. The guy was pissed at me too. I was like, fuck you, man. I think he called me an animal or something like that. He's like, you gonna be an animal? I'm like, the dude punched me. He punched me first in the face. I didn't even punch him in the brain area. I punched him in the chest. And by my 7th grade social studies teacher, I got an in-school suspension. Whatever. I think there were 7 periods for that school day. I served the rest of the day in the principal's office and then the first 3 or 4 periods of the next day for fucking defending myself. Now this was, let's see, what was the hot album at the time? Will 2K. I believe Will 2K had been. That's how bad. That's how I order things in my head chronologically, okay? Will 2K had been out. It was after the MTV special 9999. On September 9th of 1999, MTV did a special, and I remember the promo to this day. It was just 99. It's like some computerized voice. So it had to be 2000, the year 2000. That was then. For defending myself and not going all ground and pound. I didn't know what ground and pound was at the time, obviously. But for just a single punch to this asshole's sternum, after he punched me in the face, committed a battery, for defending myself, I got an in-school suspension. And even then, when my dad got on, my dad had to talk to these people because they were trying to suspend me for like a long-ass time. Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. It's bad. No. 2 punches. Him punching me punching him, and it was fucking over. I didn't crawl over the lunch table to beat on him or kill him or anything like that. And I'm guessing 90+% of all school fights are similar. It's 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches maybe. The reason that viral videos like Shovel Girl, like the girl that got hit in the head with a fucking shovel, the reason those are so popular is because they don't happen very much. It has to be. Why else, if kids were getting hit in the head with shovels on the fucking daily, that kind of shit was happening, who would give a fuck if some yokel broads, jerkwater tramp A and hit jerkwater tramp B with a shovel? Why would anybody care if that was happening daily, on the daily? If that was happening regularly, nobody would care. But everybody cares, and it goes viral because it doesn't happen very often. So why is it went from that back in the day, before I was alive, you would punch, you would fight, and that would be the end of it. Then zero tolerance happened. And now 9-year-olds are getting fucking arrested in Portland, Oregon. Because why? I have no fucking clue. And charged with a fucking crime. Holy shit. What? Wow. Gone crazy. We've gone to crazy levels to protect children from bullshit. A good fight. A fight is good for you in a way, because you find out, holy shit, I can get my ass kicked, or holy shit, punching somebody in the face really hurts. I don't want to do that anymore. We've tried to create an antiseptic world for children where there's no consequences. for their actions, only learning, completely disregarding the idea of receiving consequences and learning from those consequences. I know, what a novel idea. Learn from consequences. I learned that Mark was a bitch, but I wasn't going to hurt Mark because I realized even then I don't need to hurt this person anymore because I have successfully defended myself. There is no need now to go on the offensive to pummel this person. There's no need for it, and it would be silly and kind of pathetic because the guy punches like a ninny, and I beat the shit out of him essentially with one punch. But we can't even do that anymore. Children can't even learn from that anymore because their parents and their parents have lobbied school administrators and lobbied legislators and lobbied lawmakers. Legislators, lawmakers, essentially the same thing. But they've done all this lobbying and all these appeals to emotion to protect children from things that aren't very harmful. Can they be harmful? Sure, yeah. Children will die if there are more school fights. If school fights are allowed universally, there will be more children that die as a result of injuries sustained in school fights. Yes. But not that many. Not as many as irreverent appeals to emotion will make you think. Children will die, yes, and that will be tragic for their families. But there will be also many other children who aren't leaving elementary school and junior high with fucking arrest records and crimes on their dockets and going into juvie because they defended themselves from some funk-smelling asshole. There will be a lot less of that, too. What's better, you think? Having fewer children introduced to the prison system? Having possibly a less recidivist society? Or making sure Joe Schmo, Johnny, Billy Boy maybe doesn't die because he picked a fight with somebody who could kick the shit out of him? What's better? I don't even know. I would venture a guess that we let kids learn from things like that. Not say guns, not knives, not bring, run what you brung and hope you brung enough. Not that. Not the Wild West. Let kids fight. Let it happen. They're going to have a headache. There's going to be bones broken. Yeah, they'll live and they'll heal. And most importantly, they'll learn a little bit too. Probably. More kids will die. Yes. Everybody dies. Doesn't make you special. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. This is The Lefty Show. It's been The Lefty Show. Ocho de Mayo. Got to get one last one in. Ocho de Mayo. Be back hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully feeling 100%. This show is brought to you by imraising.com/643 Productions. That's a little P on Productions. Link in the description if you want to help out the show. You want to help with studio upgrade costs. You want to help keep the show on iTunes. Hosting a daily podcast can get kind of pricey. Head on over to imraising.com/643 Productions. That's a little P on Productions. Donate today. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you to everybody so far that has donated. Help the show grow. Share with your friends. Greatly appreciate it. Like and favorite if you can still do that on YouTube. Actually, you can, but not really important anymore. Like on YouTube, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and hit me up on Twitter at Lefty643. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.